Welcome once again. The candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, who alleged that the presidential election held on February 25th was rigged in favor of President Bola Tinubu of the ruling All Progressive Congress, has called his first witness to testify before the Presidential Election Petitions Court sitting in Abuja on Tuesday. Obi's first witness, Mr. Lawrence Wanketi, who told the court that he was from Ihiala in Anambra State, identified a document relating to a court proceeding in the United States pertaining to Tinubu's alleged indictment in a drug-related case.
In response, both President Tinubu and the ruling All Progressives Congress said they were vehemently opposed to the admissibility of the document and would reserve their reasons for opposing the document in their final briefs of the argument. Consequently, Justice Haruna Shamani-led five-member panel admitted the document in evidence and marked it as Exhibit PA5.
All right. Of course, this really is just, continuation of the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal court proceedings, which have continued even with the swearing-in that took place on the 29th, and, once again, many people will question the ability of the Nigerian judiciary to ask a president who has been sworn in to step aside. It has never happened in Nigeria's history. Nobody expects that it would happen, and I think those are some of the big concerns that people have with this. And also the statute of limitation with regards the drug indictment case for Bola Ahmed Tinubu when he was, of course, in the United States. There's documents showing that what will the Nigerian judiciary think about that. These are some of the things that will, of course, be very, very huge talking points on how they will rule concerning this, as it the statute of limitations expired concerning this case or not. And because it's not a case that happened here in Nigeria also, how important is that aspect? But we'll see where this leads.
All right, let's move away from that conversation. After the statement made by the newly sworn-in president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, during the May 29 inauguration speech concerning the removal of fuel subsidy, various parts of the country have experienced increase in the price of premium motor spirit, purported hoarding, and panic buying. Long fuel queues have resurfaced, leading to unprepared buying, stockpiling of the commodity as well.
Now, workers were left stranded in the dawn of day as commercial buses chose to increase transport fares at will, making it tough for commuters to get to work, school, and business meetings. Our correspondent, Perpetua Fasomni Peters, was on ground to monitor the situation and filed in this report.
Much to the expectations of many Nigerians, queues have resurfaced in many petrol stations in Lagos. In some stations, however, the products are not being dispensed.
They said they remove fuel subsidy. So I'm seeing that that is a fault of subsidy. Without removing subsidy, it cannot be like this. So there is no fuel, number one. The fuel is scarce, and I think the reason is the price. That is why most of the station locked down.
It was yesterday morning. The team were flowing normal, But the fact of it is that after the announcement of Mr. President, the new president, Tinubu, the team just turned something else, When you get to the first station, there is no space, no road for you to take, Everything is choked up. So I don't know what is happening, whether this one is panic buying or what, I don't really know. But the fact of it is that it's so difficult. I've been here since around 3 a.m. in the morning. I slept here just for me to get some fuel. But they are selling normal price. But the fact of it is that we pay due, if you are using keg or you come with your tank or your generator tank, you pay. We pay 500 naira for it.
In this filling station, the attendants are not attending to customers, except those who have an existing partnership with them. Sadly, they would not speak to us on camera, but we were able to get this information from them.
Can't hold fuel. There's no way we have fuel. We sold yesterday. We are selling to a few people because that's what I'm telling you. That these are credit customers that have money with us. They deposit money with us. Even though there's no fuel, we have to put fuel for them. So we are expecting our trucks here.
Hours after the president's inaugural speech, where he said that fuel subsidy will be a thing of the past in Nigeria, we see the ripple effect, especially on the streets of Lagos, as filling stations are now filled with queues of motorists who are trying to get the products. Now, in some filling stations, especially those on the island, that's Victoria Island, Lagos, what I noticed is that a good number of them were selling at the official rate 185 naira, but not many of them were even open to customers coming in to buy their products. But of course, on the mainland, we have also noticed noticed that many of the filling stations there, or a good number of the filling stations on the mainland, are selling at exorbitant prices. Some over 200 naira, and some other places sell over 300 naira. Well, it remains to be seen where this will lead us to. And of course, as events unfold, we'll bring you the information right here on News Central. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter reporting for News Central.
Thank you very much, Perpetua, for that report. As Nigerians gear up to face the harsh reality of paying a high price for the removal of fuel subsidy, the Independent Petrol Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, National Public Relations Officer Ukadike Chinedu has called on the government to engage in a dialogue with marketers before taking the decision to remove subsidy away. Joining us this morning to speak on the impact of fuel subsidy removal and what this will mean for Nigerians is IPMAN National Public Relations Officer Ukadike Chinedu. Good morning and welcome to Breakfast Central.
Yeah, good morning. How are you? And good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Let's get into the conversation this morning. It's a rather unfortunate situation that we are seeing before us. The blame has been cast on several aspects. On the one hand, the president for how he may have gone about the announcement. On the other hand, IPMAN is being blamed for exploiting the situation. And on the third hand, Nigerians are being blamed for panic buying. But I would like you to give us an insight from the perspective of IPMAN, what exactly is going on behind the scenes. Mr. Ukadike, were you able to hear the question?
Well, the question.
All right. I was asking, what exactly. Okay, please go ahead.
Now, I said, first of all, Mr. President made a policy statement. And you know the ripple effect of policy statements in Nigeria. The ripple effect of policy statements in Nigeria is uncontrollable. Both the users and the end users and from the source, it affects everybody. In terms of saving managerial arrangements, institutions. So that policy statement by Mr. President is what triggered what we call today panic buying. It also was triggered the profiteering in some of the filling stations across the nation. So that policy statement was not yet being implemented because I would have believed as a government that just came in, they would have had meetings with some stakeholders to be able to find out a seamless way of trying to implement this policy. Because this policy is also part of his campaign promises to Nigerians that is going to remove subsidy, which is what he reiterated in his inauguration speech. But the way people assumed that fresh subsidy has been removed, which also triggered the panic buying. Because if you said fresh subsidy, that people want to take advantage of the current prevailing price and be able to fill their tanks, feed their bottles at home, so that they're going to take advantage of the price. So that's the chaos you see for now.
All right, Mr. Ukadike, I want to ask you now from the perspective of IPMAN. Your members also have been blamed for being a part of this mess, mostly because filling stations were shut down right from the 28th, and immediately the president made the statement on the 29th. It became worse. The increment in the price of petrol, across filling stations in different parts of the country, maybe not very many places in Lagos, but there are places that are selling 600 naira, 800 naira. Ebonyi State, we hear reports of more than 1,000 naira per litre even. Isn't that, IPMAN, isn't that the fault of petrol marketers and the people running these petrol stations? Aren't they taking advantage of Nigerians?
No, they're not. If you go to the private depots and some of the government-owned depots as NNPCL, they are not supplying, they are no longer, since the president made the statement, they are no longer supplying petroleum products to the independent marketers. The private depots have stopped selling. So when the private depots, that is the sole place where independent marketers get their petroleum products. And when they are not selling, what do you expect the independent marketers to do? I said this policy is just a policy statement. The implementation has not come. Why will the government parastatals and NNPCL, who are the source of petroleum products, stop distribution of petroleum products? It's as if as independent marketers have stopped. People are not talking about...
When did they stop? Did they stop on the 28th or did they stop on the 29th? Right after the statement was made.
Then immediately the president made that statement, they stopped. There was no more loading.
Yeah,
As I'm talking to you now, as I'm talking to you now, as of this morning, the report I'm getting from our market outlets, they are not loading independent marketers. So where do you expect us to get products to sell to the public?
No, but I'm sorry, but let me understand this. The president makes a statement on the 29th. By midday on the 29th or sometime in the afternoon on the 29th, there's already petrol stations that have shut down that are no longer selling. It cannot be because they have gotten to the NNPC's depot and they couldn't buy product. That's why they stopped selling. It cannot possibly be that everybody's product immediately finished the moment the president said it, and so they couldn't get new one to buy from NNPC. So IPMAN does have a role to play, and of course you accept some of the blame here that some of your members have chosen to either stop selling or inflate prices to whatever figures that they choose in this time.
No. What I want to ask is that why will government stop supplying? Why will government stop supplying? Even the president makes that policy, why will government stop supplying? I'm telling you that even as I'm talking to you now, the government are not supplying independent marketers. Our trucks are there. Our tickets are there. Our tickets are in the system. Independent marketers have no less than 13,000 tickets in the system. That will be seamlessly loaded. The government, the president will have given them an order that even have made a policy statement that they should load out all independent marketers tickets. And once that load is starts now, you will see that those who are holding will revert back. Those who want to increase their load will revert back because there is adequate supply of petroleum products. In the midst of lack of supply, that is where you see scarcity and profiteering and panic buying.
All right. Mr. Okwadike, we already have a problem on our hands. Unfortunately, there is already panic buying. There's fuel scarcity. Let's talk about the way forward. Yesterday, the presidency did release a speech urging people not to panic buy and talking about the fact that the removal of subsidy is not something that starts immediately. What is the way forward for IPMAN in this situation? Is that enough to calm the fears on the part of IPMAN? And what are, I know IPMAN is asking for a sit down with the presidency. What is the way forward? How do we resolve the impending crisis that is looming as a result of fuel scarcity?
Definitely, we knew that Mr. President has his own way of implementing this subsidy removal. We also want to listen to him and also contribute our quota towards seeing that this subsidy is seamlessly removed. Because I also want to let you know that whatever happens in the distribution of petroleum products in Nigeria triggers inflation. You will see a galloping inflation. I told you that yesterday, as I arrived at Abuja, I took airport prices 10,000 naira to inside the town, which is not done before. So all sectors are being involved. Nigeria is oil-driven economy. So it is very, very pertinent that Mr. President should have sat down with some stakeholders, even if he has the key to remove this subsidy seamlessly, so that Nigerians will not suffer. Me and you will not suffer. So if man on our own side, the source of receiving petroleum products today is still NNPC. NNPC is the major source of distribution of petroleum products. The market has not been opened. Marketers have not been given license to go and import. Because these are the factors that would have given us an opportunity to be able to import our own products and sell at our own cost. These are factors of removal of subsidy. These are factors of deregulation. This is not put in place. There are refineries where you can be able to go seamlessly and buy petroleum products and take to your filling stations. None of them is working. For the past 20 years, the refineries are not working. And I believe that Mr. President would have given an emergency order to ensure that the refinery that have been putting over 11 trillion is working. The modular refineries are working. So that you can have a variable source of loading petroleum products. We are only stuck with an NPC supply. If an NPC doesn't supply independent marketers, we cannot buy.
Yeah, well, I mean
that is why we are stuck.
That is.
Even we have we are exporting. Even government have given us that access to import. Even the whole issues has been resolved. I know, but independent marketers would have their own.
All right. So, Mr. Okadike, would you advise that the current administration opens up the oil and gas space and allows independent marketers to import petrol by themselves and sell? And also, what would you say might be a favorable price of petrol when these discussions that you've mentioned are had? Remember that there's also the Petroleum Industry Act that has been signed, and so everything needs to work hand in hand.
Yeah, I will appeal that federal government should give us all the necessary backup, all the necessary structure that will enable independent marketers source their petroleum products. I also felt very, very bad that when we talk about sourcing of petroleum products, we're almost depending on the importation of petroleum products. That is not the best for Nigeria. This is giving our naira a lot of stress. It's weakening the naira, because if we continue to depend on importation of petroleum products, at the end of the day, it has a very, very drastic, disastrous effect on our naira. And the dollar is gaining strength and strength every blessed day. We must have, first of all, internally, resolve those pertinent issues that will ensure a seamless deregulation regime, whereby marketers can go within 30, 40, 50 kilometers and be able to get petroleum products and sell it at filling stations. Because with this, petroleum products will be aligned at the refinance area. It is only when they import from Russia or anywhere they want to import petroleum products or Singapore, anywhere, then the product will come to the seashore. It is only depots that are around the waterways that you can be able to take your cross from a dry area to go and buy. And most of this, it takes 600 and something kilometers. You know the cost of diesel. So all these things make this petroleum product a little bit high. But if we can be able to revamp this refinery, encourage modular refineries, these are things that this government can be able to do within a specific period of time and remove the regulation. And you will also find that there will be competition. That this product will even say as low as 180, 200 naira per liter.
Well, let me ask. Let me also quickly ask. Yeah, because I did mention what you think a favorable price would be, but currently there are reports that there are petrol stations, not just in Lagos, but in different parts of the country, that are selling petrol higher than 185 naira, some of them 500, 600, 800
1,200.
1,200. Is it IPMAN's responsibility to tell these petrol stations that what they are doing is wrong? Or what would you advise for stations like that?
Yes, we have made a statement through our channels. We have made a statement through our WhatsApp group, to our national body.
But shouldn't IPMAN put out a message that the whole country can read? Because not everybody is on your WhatsApp, and so. And this is why I'm focusing really on blaming IPMAN or asking IPMAN to take responsibility for some of all of this. Because in situations like this, if IPMAN as a body claims that it does not support the hike in price of petrol, it doesn't support the hoarding of petrol products by marketers, it doesn't support any of these things, and IPMAN is not seen as a body to take responsibility and take charge and ensure that those who have petroleum products sell at the government-regulated price of 165 or 185.
I want to let you know that there's not like regulations now. In the regime of deregulation, there's not like regulations. What will force that the price is distribution. If government pumping petroleum products into the system, all those things you're talking about 1,800, it will all crash. People will sell petroleum product at 200, 250, 150, depending on how they buy. With the system we are, is how you buy, is how you sell.
So
that is deregulation.
So at this time, IPMAN can. So at this point, IPMAN. Yeah, what I'm asking. So is at this point, IPMAN cannot ask its members.
What you're asking, it does not arise. What arises is where is the source of the petroleum? Where is the source of the product? If the product is adequate, sufficient product to reduce price. It's a basic principle of economics.
Okay, so let's talk about. Let's take the conversation back a bit. Did IPMAN, of course, I want to believe that IPMAN was aware about the removal of subsidy what plans were put in place to avoid that, this would hit Ipman the way that it has? Also, there are, what's your position on the removal of subsidy? Is it something that Ipman is firmly behind, or is Ipman firmly against? Because there are arguments for and against it, with a number of people saying that this in some way is a broad, daylight scam. So what are your thoughts on that as well?
Well, like I said, Ipman, we welcome deregulation. We welcome the removal of subsidy. But our own viewpoint is that those factors that will enable seamless removal of subsidy so that the poor masses will not suffer, will not bear the brunt, should be put in place. Because we are only the last people that breaks the buck. We are the last people that meet the commuters. We are the last people that sell this petroleum product to you and I. And we feel the heat. We are also human beings too. It is not that we are profit-oriented. No, our system is not. But we're also service-oriented. So we also give feedback to the society, to also the government, how Nigerians feel, and what they say about the policy. And so that was why I said that we agree with government. We agree with it, because when Tinubu was doing his campaign, he invited us in his campaign office, led by our president, Bola Ahmed. And he told us he's going to remove subsidy. But he knows how to remove subsidy seamlessly and recoup that money that's being used in subsidy to be able to ensure that we have a better Nigeria.
So what would have been a seamless mode of removal of subsidy?
He said it's a policy statement. I read this morning that what he said was just a policy statement, that implementation have not started. But if it's a policy statement, why would the source of supply of petroleum products stop supplying us? As I'm talking to you, they were not being supplied. That is a problem. And also knowing that we occupy 80% of filling stations in Nigeria.
All right.
So if you don't supply Ipman, it means you are encouraging artificial scarcity.
All right, Mr. Okadike, just so we can say goodbyes this morning, can you confirm for us what is in the WhatsApp message you said has gone round to your members?
No.
Seems we might have lost connection to Mr. Okadike, who's been joining us to speak about the fuel scarcity, especially from the angle of Ipman and how Ipman sees it. Thank you so much for joining us.